everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. And today we're going to talk about the power of stories. We're going to discuss the psychology behind storytelling, why our brain always love to hear stories. And if you look around that, or even if you look at your own self, or like our mind, basically, all the time telling us some story. So whatever we do or whatever we tell to ourselves, whatever the story we tell to ourselves, we shape our personality, we shape our perspective, and that in turn impacts that how we change the environment around us, how we impact on how our words impact others. And that again, the words we say to them, it is impacted by the story, and then it is again a story that we tell to others about ourselves, about any other thing in our lives. So if we look around, everything is kind of manifested in the form of a story. It is very interesting, even if you look at the science behind it, that even our research shows that 80% of the decision making is driven by emotions and not logic. And again, that emotion is driven by the story we tell to our mind or a story we hear from others. So anyways, I know this is a very interesting topic. I would like to actually invite our guest today. And today's guest is Carey Corr. He's an accomplished writer and director, known for creating narrative film at the engage, entertain, entertain, and enlighten. And with a rich background in feature film, documentaries, music videos, independent cinema, Carey has mastered the art of using film to spark emotional connection and inspire change. So let's welcome Carey. Hello, Carey. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Embry. I'm so glad to be here. Love to be in your presence.
Likewise. Thank you so much. It is really an honor to have you on my show. I was looking forward to our this conversation because the topic is so interesting, and it's the stories. Like I was just giving the introduction that stories are everywhere. In every business, because my background is marketing research. So marketing is all about the stories we tell to our consumer, and that sparks the emotions. So everything is at the end is kind of the story either we hear from others or we tell to ourselves. So I'm so excited. So anyways, I know that we can talk a lot about this, but before we start our discussion, just give a bit of introduction that what are you doing? I know this is your connected picture. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm a writer and a director, and I co-founded with a partner Connected Pictures. And the reason for that, the reason we founded is that the way I want to make movies, the content, and the business of it didn't really fit in the world. So I created this company with my partner Amit Rathore because he's the technology part of it, because we see movie business in a new way, and we see the power of it really comes out of the power of storytelling, because the systems that are telling the story now have there's such great limitation because it's based solely on how much money can be made and not on how many people can be moved. But we've created a system, and it is my philosophy that those two don't need to be separated. There's nothing that needs to be separated. We can create content that engages people and opens them to new perspectives while entertaining them. And all the system places could do that too, but they're choosing not to because they believe there's some formula to it. And as a storyteller, I don't believe there's a formula in storytelling. I think you tell a story from your heart and it resonates with people, and you can't determine how many people that resonates with. So if your goal is to make money, you want to have everybody see your movie, but that isn't really a thing, in my opinion. And so we've created a new way, and the first film that we'll create, we're a startup that just sort of soft launched. So we'll be a platform. So we'll be creating a film I wrote called "Sing Your Song," and also we added to it, our platform is a place where everyone in the movie ecosystem can come, from fans to creators to everything. It's a place to take this dialogue of what a movie is, from even before it's made, but all the way after, and discuss that and have a place where everybody who wants to be a part of that can come, and they can be part of the discussion, because a movie is a dialogue. It's not a thing I make and you watch and that's the end of it. That's not the point of movies, in my opinion. So I know it's just a dialogue, and but if there's technology that can put everybody in to the space where we can further that dialogue, that's a beautiful thing, because like I believe you said in before in your introduction, that emotion drives us.
Yes.
And it's been my experience that movies, and also books and literature and all art of some kind, can strike a chord of emotion in you, can make you pause for a second about what you believe, what your story is.
Yes.
And so our aim is to not only create stuff that does that for you, movies that do that for you, but have a space to come and further that,
Yeah.
to have that discussion. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's actually quite fascinating, isn't it? That, as you said, that stories do drive like all the emotions. But I know that we actually jump into the storytelling. But if we take a one step back, so just tell us that what actually storytelling is. What is the stories, and what is storytelling?
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, because um, humans tell stories. I don't know why, but we do, and we have for forever. And we tell stories. It's part of our nature. We tell stories to ourselves. We tell stories to others, and um, so storytelling for me, is a way of being human. There's many different media or medium for which to tell a story. We're telling a story right now, just
Yes.
talking to each other, right? And there's movies, there's the written word, there's art, there's music, and so much of our life is a story. So, and for me, from my perspective, even when I go out into the world, I'm having a dialogue with the world, nature. Uh, uh, I walk my dog. It's a dialogue with them. Sometimes it's with words that he doesn't understand, and sometimes he's just telling me what he wants, where he might want to go. It's all sort of a story, and we get to craft it.
Yeah, yeah. That's very interesting. That it's what it's to me. A story is something that when we share the ideas in the form of like a connected thoughts, or connected thoughts is not just that because I usually have this kind of discussion kind of with my kids also, that especially with my son, because when we were working on the project of is like when he was writing his book, and he says that, okay, let's write a story or make it a fiction, and so like, okay, what exactly it's, because he was just saying that no, we talk about education system and something like this. So but when we actually moved it to the fiction, and then you said, okay, make it a story it's all of the sudden, I would say that like mine started going out of the box, the imagination goes and started working, because when we actually just share plain facts, it it doesn't it feels very boring, right? But when it comes in kind of a story, stories means when then actually people can connect, right? Like how it is happening in their daily lives, then people can connect. And that is the main, I think, the difference between a plain fact that maybe the sun comes out every day, instead of I woke up and saw the sun and felt that how beautiful it is. It turns the entire, I would say, the narration into a beautiful story when I actually linked it with myself and told it to, and people can actually see that what I was seeing, instead of I was just say, instead of like if I say that okay, sun comes out every day, instead of I woke up and saw the sun and felt something. So that is, I think that's how it is powerful. So tell us a bit about, about your work, because you said that you are creating films and movies and which entertain, or I mean not only entertain but enlighten also. So tell us that how stories can enlighten.
Well, I mean, absolutely. I want to add to what you were just saying before that too, which is something I didn't mention, but is imagination and curiosity.
Yeah.
And so, and this is pretty much what you're asking me now. So, how can they do that? Stories open people to new ideas, new perspectives. I'll call it enlighten. Um, is through imagination. Movies, in particular, for me, and I think this a lot of people resonate with that. This idea is a movie takes you into the story in a way other stories don't take you into.
Yeah.
It becomes a real happening that you're watching.
Mm.
At the same time as you're watching it, you're involved in it. So you're watching, and yet you're still involved in it. And we see this a lot in movies, in reactions to movies. Sometimes people
Mm.
get scared. Sometimes they
Yeah.
cry. Sometimes we
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
Because we're there at the moment, and our imagination is part of involved in what that movie's happening. And
Mm.
so that I understand as a filmmaker, and want to and work on creating that space. It's a space in your mind that happens when you're involved emotionally with a movie. You just simply have a pause, and
Yeah.
that pause is open. And so, if um, something in a movie can open you to see something new, a new perspective, maybe a character in the movie you resonate with does something that's different than you expected, you can also start to feel like, oh, maybe my life is like that.
Yeah.
Or if the storyline takes you into a different world that is one that says, oh, there's more to life than my small town or my big city or whatever it is. There's more to this world than just what I think I know. And that's the aim. That is the aim. That's what I'm trying to do, is open those spaces so that maybe there becomes a new thought, a new perspective of how one's life might be.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. I mean, it usually I'm the person, like whenever I see the movie, I either start, if there is a tragic movie, I start to cry. Or if and I don't like horror movies, so I don't watch. But because I feel scared, so yes, I think when we see the movie, or even when we read books, that's like, because I'm an avid reader, so I like fiction as well. So we are so involved that we think that it is happening to us, and I think that is uh, that's why we started feeling the emotion of the characters in the movie or in the book or whatever, like when we are seeing it. Because I think I was reading that our mind cannot uh, make the or like our mind cannot differentiate between imagination and the reality. So like when we are maybe when we are watching a movie or when we are reading a novel, we are actually so much involved in that story that we started to feel that how the characters are actually feeling, and that's how, and because this activates our mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are responsible of creating empathy and feeling this. So I think that could be one reason that we see that whenever we see movie we actually start to feel this, right? And as you beautifully say, that it can spark a thought which we might not have actually thought before watching this. So that's how I agree that that's how it can enlighten it. So yeah, tell us a bit, like about that. What challenges do you face, especially like you've been as you worked as an independent also film producer of, and also with other people's. So what challenges you face, especially your purpose is to enlighten people, right? Whereas other, as like you said, that maybe you people were more involved in money making. So how you actually get your mission out, or how you want, how what obstacle you face in achieving your vision.
Yeah, I think with all visions, but particularly I can only speak from mine.
Yeah.
Um, the, it is the challenge is always to find the resonant people, the
Yeah.
people that fully understand what you're doing, and putting that team together, which then brings all the resources. And I look at all the challenges um, is about are about resources. They're about resources and the right resources
Hmm.
to um, make the vision come to life. And that's and the resources are human based. It's not because it's humans who control the money that's needed. It's humans who have the cameras to rent. It's humans who actually work the camera and put up the lights. So it's always a challenge to bring together all those that really resonate and
Hmm.
understand this. And from past experience, I've worked on many things where everyone involved was not fully involved with the vision. We weren't co-creating. So it's
Hmm.
it's it's not just strictly about the money and and those kinds of resources, the physical resources. It's also about people for me, and I've learned over many decades that we we need to all be pulling on the same rope together to
Hmm.
create something that has this energy that's felt. I believe when everybody in the process is co-creating, meaning there's not egos involved. It's not
Hmm.
about what you're going to look like. It's about serving the moments of the project each time, and everybody's doing that and bringing their authentic self, their skills, their talent, their ability, and they're allowed to do that.
Hmm.
Then you create something that has this energy that's so resonant, it ends up in the screen. And
Yeah.
and those are my challenges, really, to find those people, to find those who get that idea fully and want to co-create to bring a vision to life.
Yeah, I think that is the main challenge everyone faces, especially when they start making or having a big dream, because not everyone, especially when you have a big dream, people don't understand it.
Mhm.
And the problem is that even those who don't understand it, they will try to pull you back. I mean, or just say that okay, it's not possible, because they cannot envision what you are visioning. So that is one, I think, an obstacle that you're facing is actually very much um, like about what everyone faces when they have the big vision. But I think the main way is, or the only way to just do it, as you said, like we need to keep doing it, right? We need to keep doing like how um, we are. If we have a vision, we just need to follow our path, and then we find the right people, right? What is your experience on that?
That's absolutely true. And for me, if I don't attach outcome to any of that, so I
Yeah,
have to have this, I have to have that, it has to be here, it has to be now, it has to be this and that, whatever, any outcome you can put on that, right? Then patience becomes a most beautiful thing. And you find that, and I found, I should say, I don't know if other people find this, but I find that when I'm understanding of my vision and maybe others don't, I keep talking to people about it and
yeah,
I don't worry about who's going to show up, and somehow they show up. But also you can, it is difficult, or it can be difficult. Um, and then there's inspiration. So sometimes you find inspiration in places you wouldn't believe. I find inspiration in your son's book,
oh,
because here's a child who is struggling in school and has, so he's, what a hard vision to get across to people.
yes.
What a difficult thing to do, to say, I'm just this young boy who doesn't understand school the way you're teaching it to me. It's
Yeah.
so counter to all of the forces that
Mhm.
are systematically there that it's unbelievable. But
Yeah,
he didn't shy away. He didn't say, no, I'm not going to write about it. He didn't, he came to you and said, I want to tell this story. And,
yeah,
and, and he found support in you to help him do that. But there's inspiration everywhere. And to be honest, I think, and this has happened for me, you can get to the point where that the difficulty that you see isn't really a difficulty, it's an opportunity.
yeah,
And you can learn to uh, not listen, not hear the
yeah,
stories that are telling you it's no, and understand that if you really have a dream, that's serving your purpose of living, and nothing's going to get in the way of that. But it might not take, it's not going to happen in a day or a snap of a finger.
yeah,
And also, it could as well, but you don't have to um, concern yourself with that other stuff, the stuff that's telling you no. It's just
yeah,
you just don't have to bother with that.
yeah, yeah. There's like Valerie also joined. So hi, Valerie. Thank you for joining. And there
Right,
was also Hambisa. She said that I think. So thank you for joining our show. And so I like talking. Like you said that you've been working with people and like you've been involved in this work. So tell us that any memorable project which you've worked, or maybe which the project which changed your perspective or has deep impact on you.
Mhm. Well, there's been a couple of those. One in particular is we made a short documentary many years ago, but it's still very valid today, about an organization called Surfers Healing, who
Mm-hmm.
take kids on the autism spectrum out
Oh,
surfing.
oh, okay.
And and they have days that are free to the family with
Mm-hmm.
kids on the spectrum to come with professional surfers. So they're all professional surfers, they're all teachers, and they bring the kids out on a surfboard together with an a professional surfer, and they
Mhm.
experience the rhythm of the ocean and the beauty and being fully covered with water, and you can see on the faces of the children their demeanor shifts in a huge
Wow.
way. And not only does it impact the child that
Mhm.
day and sometimes much after
Mhm.
that day, but the families themselves, um, and I had interviewed some of them as part of that
Mhm.
project, um, told me it's the only day in which is sort of normal for them, because with their child being on the spectrum,
Mhm.
they can't go out into the world without it being a really different thing for them. It's just the way
Yeah.
it is, right? Not even that people are doing anything to them, or it's
Yeah.
just that the parents are, are not on the spectrum. They love their child. They can't understand their perspective fully.
Yeah.
But they have such deep empathy, but it's not a normal day. But here's a day where there's 40 families and the
Yeah.
kids are around, and everyone together, with the same common situation, are able to just be, because
Yeah.
that's the situation. So it's such a beautiful thing, and the project was so beautiful, and we were able to capture all these amazing, experiences of the children,
Wow.
and the instructors. Everybody's changed. I was changed that day. The instructors are always changed, and these are professional surfers who find that day to be one of the best days of their lives.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So did you publish that? I mean, where is it?
Yeah, you
Is
can
it the
find that
movie
on.
or
Yeah,
yeah?
it can be found on YouTube.
Oh,
I'll give you the
yeah.
link,
I
or
think
on
yeah. y-
my website, careycorr.com. It's there as well.
Okay, okay. I will share this. So I think those who are listening, please, or watching, please, there is this website connected.pictures. They can actually watch that movie which is talking about
Oh, I'm s-
there. And I'm gonna watch this because it sounds very interesting.
I'm sorry. Let me tell you, it's not on
Yeah.
Connected Pictures because they're kind
Okay.
of two separate things, but it's on careycorr.com.
Oh, Carey Corr. Okay,
Yeah,
let me
and
just write.
yeah,
Sorry, sorry.
that's okay. It's just
Okay.
not the part of Connected Pictures. We're a different kind of thing. But yeah, yeah. So it is. Yeah, yeah. That
Okay. So
that
it's
project moved me. I mean,
yeah,
there's
that's
been some other.
careycorr.com, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah,
I'm gonna watch that because it
yeah.
sounds again, as I said, I think in our society there is a lot of pressure, or in culture, in family, or everything. We're always told what to do,
Mm.
and but when we actually just be in the moment, I think that is when the magic happens, and that is where the beauty lies of the moment. I think that is the main intersection of our life and our soul that connects. So I think that is the beautiful, like you explain it beautifully, that the kids were just me, which is very hard actually to be or not to be. that's that's amazing. I know
Yeah.
we can actually talk a lot, like on and on about it, because this is a very interesting topic. Yeah, in fact, I think before I actually close this show, we were talking about it, that that how stories are powerful, that that even all the scriptures, as I was telling you, that all the divine scripture, you said that it all comes in the form of like stories, like you read Quran, you read Bible, you read any other scripture, it has stories, because stories has deep impact on our brain, and we can remember things much better, we can relate to it, it can arouse emotion, it can create much more impact than just plain fact, right? So yeah, you were saying something?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, humans are innately creative, imaginative, and
Yeah.
curious, and a story is something that taps into all of those parts of us. And
Yeah.
and whether it doesn't matter where the story comes from, music,
Hmm.
movie, whatever, that is just our nature. And so we also can take facts and use our cognitive brain to understand something, but we
Yeah.
do such a better job when it's tied to imagination,
Hmm.
of really understanding what even a fact can be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. So I know we can talk about it on and on. But before we actually close the show, what one piece of advice would you like to give to our audience today to become better storyteller?
Mm. Uh, the one piece of advice is, and I think this is universal,
Mhm.
know that it's your story you're telling from your
Mhm.
heart, from your authentic self, and it need not land everywhere. Because if you're crafting a story from outside yourself, maybe someone tells you you need to write it this way or it has to be that way, or like I'm sure the challenges your I know the challenges your son had in school
Yes.
was exactly this, because
Yes.
we're expressing ourselves. Story is powerful because it's one human's perspective on existence
Hmm.
from that perspective, not from all the other perspectives that are out there, but
Yes.
from that single perspective. And
Mm.
that is to me what storytelling is, and that is just even in this conversation, I know we're doing that. You and I do that by
Yeah.
nature, and
Yeah.
so that's the advice. Tell the story that's in your heart and only that story.
Yes. I mean, that's a powerful, powerful, very, very powerful advice. I believe, as I was telling you, that because of the lots of societal pressure, lots of family pressure, we forget to tell the true story to ourselves. We constantly tell ourselves what society is telling us, what our family is telling us to be that person. But I think only when we connect to ourselves, only then we know. As you say, that we need to tell the story that comes from the heart, not from anywhere. And it is not easy. It
No.
is definitely not easy. So I know it may get a little longer, but tell us a bit about it. That how we can tell that story, that what comes from our heart.
Oh, how to do that? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes,
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
exactly.
One thing I want to say before I say that, and I will, is well, it's actually tied to this. And I didn't mention it with connected pictures, but that awareness that you just talked about is the start of that. To have awareness of what stories you're telling
Hmm.
because you are and where they came from. Where did
Yeah.
you get that from? Where did it come from? Where did you learn? And is that your perspective on it? Or is that just something that you learned or were told and you're repeating it? And so
Yes.
that awareness is the key to telling your own story. And that awareness leads you to how you feel about that story. For me, when I'm telling a story, if I don't feel it in my body that that's my story, and it seems to just be coming out of my mouth from my mind,
Yes.
I can realize that's not my story. That's not my story at all. And I think a big part of this, which is absolutely important, is um, everybody's story is of equal value. So don't devalue yourself. It's not as if you need to write the great novel or you need to make a movie or you need to do anything with your story. Your story is as important as all of those stories. Everybody's story has the same value. And
Yes.
so knowing that frees you to, for me at least, to let the story of my perspective out and not worry at all about what other people think about it because it is my story and my story has
Yes.
value.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. when we actually stop that fear of being judged, only then we can connect, because we need to see that, okay, this is not coming from my heart, but this is coming from my heart, so that's okay. And we need to accept ourselves as we are, not, not having that fear that if we show up as we are, we will be judged. So that is where I think I feel uh, we can connect with ourselves and be authentic in that way. So that's amazing. I know this is such an important topic, and we can actually go on and on. As I told you, that this is, it has, um, stories are everywhere, and stories are the only way we it can impact our mind, right? Because it has the power to arouse like emotion. It has a power that we can actually relate to anything, and it has the power to activate our, I would say, mirror neuron in a neuroscience way, scientific way, that it can activate those neurons which can help us feel the empathy or the feel the emotions of others. So anyways, if anybody wants to connect with you, what is the best way to connect with you? Is it your like social media or website or what?
Well, LinkedIn is good.
Okay.
LinkedIn's really good. My website is good, and Connected Pictures is good. So
Okay.
any of those, you can find me there. LinkedIn might be the best because it's directly to me, but all those other places are I there, you can find me there, and it's directly to me. Yeah.
That's great. So anybody who wants or have any ambition to create movie or write a story or share their stories, so I would highly recommend to connect with Carey. He is imaginative and he's an amazing writer. And your basically your vision and your thoughts are very different in that way. So I really love that part. So thank you so much for joining today and having that wonderful conversation. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure our audience also enjoyed it. So thanks for joining, and have a great day. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you for having me out there. You too.